Hi everyone, welcome to Money Expat podcast. And this is our second episode with my colleague, Zoe Davison. We work together at De Beer, China. So if you've seen me outside the office, somewhere on a fair or sports event or a school somewhere, most likely I was with Zoe because we always go to these things together. So she is my partner in crime, so we're always out there hustling together. And so we have another thing in common. So I have a Russian passport, and Zoe here has a Zimbabwean passport. So that thing in common is we are both difficult passport holders.
Yes.
So all the challenges that come with that, we face them together. And so today I'm very excited to talk about this, what it's like to have a difficult passport, and what is the work around it, and what are the tips, and what do you do when you have a difficult passport. So, but first, tell us about yourself. How did you end up in China, and how did you end up in De Beer?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Zoe Davison, and I'm a financial advisor and business development manager here at De Beer. And how did I come to China? I think I came here a little over 7 years ago for school. So I did my bachelor's here, I did my master's here, went back home, worked, came back again, and here I am working at De Beer. So excited to be here, so excited to join this podcast today. Thank you very much for inviting me, Jerema.
All right, thank you for sharing your story. I also studied here, but I've been here 14 years. So when was your first time that you realized that, oh, actually, I have a difficult passport? Because when we're back home, we don't even know that. But then we come to China, we try to go to the bank or try to open something, and then they tell you, okay, no. And then you realize, oh, I didn't know, but turns out I have a difficult passport.
So true, so true. Thank you for the question. We are partners in crime, like she mentioned. We have the similar situation as well with passports. And I think the first thing that I would remember is something that happened recently with my sister, actually, because she recently came here for school a year and a half ago. And so we went to get her bank account open, so we could, transfer fees easily and send her money, whatever the case may be. And we went around different banks in another city trying to open a bank account, and they refused. They outrightly refused, and they said, no, we can't take Zimbabweans. You guys are on the list. And I said, which list? And they were like, the list of risky countries.
We're not on the guest list.
Yeah. Like, what? Okay. So anyway, we ended up going to 3, 4, at least almost 5 banks. Honestly, we walked the whole entire day, and we still couldn't find one that could open an account for her. I think she only managed to open another one a month later after a lot of back and forth with one bank that was willing to kind of, give us that account. But it took a while. And yeah, besides that, I've also had issues opening accounts, have banking here in China, opening up a Wise account, opening up a Skyremit account. Everything has just been a hassle. Even when I was in school in Dalian at the time, my goodness, just opening my own bank account was a hassle. Like I would see all my other classmates from Europe, from America, they go in the bank, 1 hour, they're done. And then I was just there stuck with the teller.
Yeah.
Again and again, give us this, repeat your name again. Oh my goodness. And I said, why am I repeating these things like 10 times? It's the same information that's on the passport. And you had to do a lot of KYC with them, 3 hours, 4 hours later, then they decide to give you the card, but they're still giving you the eye. So it's been that for years now. And at some point you're just like, okay, I'm that person from a risky country or from a difficult passport holder.
Right. Okay. Yeah, speaking of Wise, that was the first experience that I was like, oh, okay. Because as a student, I opened bank accounts with no issues. But that was before the war, so it was a long time ago. So I didn't even realize that until I go to WISE to get registered, and Russia is not even listed there. And it's like, by the way, guys, Russia exists, it should be on the list, but it's not. And so it took me, I think, about a month going back and forth to get, well, they didn't add Russia at the time, but I was able to register as a China resident. Although I'm not a Chinese citizen, but they were able to use my visa as an ID to get me registered, and then, but then I still cannot use it as most people can, right? So I can receive payments from other users from WISE, but I cannot top up from Chinese bank accounts. Yeah, so I need to go to the bank, make the transfer, and pay the fee. But it cannot be done from my phone. Yeah, so it kind of works, but kind of doesn't. But yeah, let me just check. Do you have yours on? Is there the blue light on or not? Oh, okay.
Sadly.
Yeah, so long press.
Okay, now it's
okay.
open.
Hopefully the sound should get better now.
Yes.
All right. So speaking of these challenges, right? So what would you say are the things that our clients from the UK or Europe or Australia take for granted?
I think, like what we were talking about just now, just going to the bank and getting your things done in under an hour is something that a lot of Europeans don't really experience. I think they've only started to experience it recently because now they're in China, and generally banking in China is just a hassle in general. So you go to the bank, maybe stay an hour or two, but where a European is staying an hour or two, I'm staying there for at least 3 or 4 hours or maybe half a day. So it's still more complicated for me. I think another thing to add to that is access to lending. So access to like mortgages and stuff, and just getting access to lending as a European is much easier than it is for me as, somebody from a country that has, difficult passport. It's really, really complicated. They'll ask again for more documents from me. They'll ask for more verifications, and sometimes they'll just deny it, plainly denying it for no apparent reason, even if I'm not staying in the country at the moment and I'm staying in a different country and I'm a China resident. Sometimes they're just like, nope, you're on a list and that's it, we don't care. So I feel like a lot of Europeans or other countries, in fact, that have better passports, they really don't understand what we go through. We go through quite a lot of difficulties. I don't want to keep going on, but yeah.
So yeah, typically with the banking is that, so for most like normal passports or better passports, we can open a Visa or a MasterCard here in Shanghai with CCB or the Bank of East Asia.
Yes.
There are no issues opening a Swiss bank. Just recently I helped a client opening a Standard Bank, which was also no problem. So different country, right? So personally, I cannot open the Standard Bank because Russia is on the list, but I was able to open the Swiss bank.
Nice.
So there are some options that kind of work, but kind of don't for some passports. And so when it comes to difficult passports, it's all case by case, which shouldn't be surprising by now.
True.
To most of us. So typically when we have an option, I usually ask immediately, right, for service providers, okay, are Russians on the list?
Yeah.
Can Ukrainians use it? Can Belarus can use it? Or Serbia or Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, Yemen, Syria. So it's a long list actually.
Yes,
so typically these providers, they will have a list of countries that they cannot work, but mostly for expats in China who are here long term and they have a working visa, typically it's not an issue, right? Because they're residents and legally employed and they're long term here in China, so typically it's not a problem, but it depends on the product. So again, as much as we want this podcast to be a message of hope, it is still case by
Case
case.
by case. More recently, South Africa too.
Oh yes, yeah. South Africa also on the list. So Visa or MasterCards here are not accessible. But I was able to open a Standard Bank for South Africans.
Yeah, Standard Bank is still quite okay for Zimbabweans as well. So it is a case by case, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say let's move to investments, and so we know that some of them are available and some of them are not. But then, did you have any cases when you were like, okay, I'm unable to open this account for this person? Were there any kind of rejections on that side, or does it typically work for most?
I feel like for most people it would work. But for other nationalities, it's also quite difficult. I'll give an example of just recently. I guess I can give my example actually. I was trying to open an Interactive Brokers account, and simply because I was a Zimbabwean passport holder, they were just like, nope. And
even though you're in China?
Even though I'm in China. So their caveat was like, yes, you're not in Zimbabwe right now, you're in China, but it's also a gray area. Send us your KYCs, we'll go through your KYCs again and again. And they went through the process again and again, like I'm saying. They usually do. And eventually it was like, nope, we're not opening this one for you. And so it's not only happened to me, but it's happened to some of our clients where you wanted to open a particular platform and they eventually, after months of trying, it doesn't work out. But for some other platforms will work. So like, for example, we use Ardan. Ardan works really, really well.
Yeah.
I have no problems with Ardan that I can mention right now. So there are solutions for people. It doesn't mean like if one company or like one platform can't help you, all of them can't help you. It's a matter of trying to find the one that's gonna work, right? Especially for people like us who really want to invest, we really want to do stuff, but at the moment you have limitations, but that doesn't mean you don't have a solution. So I think it's more about that perseverance.
Yeah.
So keep trying. Okay, if this door closes, I should try something else, and so keep trying something else. Yeah, that's what I have to say about this one.
Yeah, I also have an example, and I told you about it earlier. So my Russian client, there were a few questions from the service providers, and we were not able to open our Plan A. Plan B didn't work, and Plan C also didn't work. But then we were able to open this DeVere investment platform, which is an investment platform that was opened by the company, DeVere, and property, right? So I think property is one of the options that's available to most nationalities, as long as you can manage to get the money from China or another country to the bank account of the developer. So that's the only issue that might arise. But normally, if you have all the tax documents and you can go to the bank and make the transfer, that works. And with properties, especially off plan, there's typically a specific schedule where you pay, let's say, 30% at the beginning, then 20% after 6 months, and then 10%. So it goes in kind of in installments. So it's not all in right away. And so for this client, it worked out really well in the end, because they were able to make the transfers on time and the development completed on time, and the property is now rented out. And so, yeah, although we weren't able to open the first option or the second, it worked out. So right now they're in a very good place. So yeah, with other nationalities, it also, so sometimes some of these platforms might not take you as a client if you are from, let's say, Venezuela or somewhere else, but then there might be another one that might. So, and then for us as advisors, it's also our job. Okay, so we're contacting the institution and then finding out, okay, so what is the process, and then we help you with gathering all the documents, translating. Yes, because also the documents we get here are all in Chinese, so we have a translator in house, and then we can certify it, and so we know all the ways. And yeah, so let's see. talking about the investment products, so there are also ups and downs, right? So something that works and something doesn't. Another thing, and I think it's very important, is life insurance.
Yes.
Right, so especially for those who have a need for it, with dependents, maybe little kids, something that most insurance companies might mention, might not mention, but it's the fact that if you come from a certain country, you may be covered outside of it, but when you go back, it might not cover you. Yeah. So any thoughts on that?
I think it's also, again, on research, which is where I think financial advisors are really so important to have, because we do all of that for you pretty much. It's pretty much our job to make sure we're giving you the right provider that will actually give you what you need and that will cover you even if you move from China and move to another different country. It doesn't even have to be your home country, but if you move to another country, you're still covered. So I feel like we have that in-house. We have many different companies that we work with, partners that we work with, Unishore and more. But these are partners that have built a relationship with us as Devere because they know we are trustworthy and we do help our clients through every life stage. So they're able to give us that business and they'll be able to trust us with that because of our reputation. And so I think whenever you're coming to do things like life insurance and you're trying to figure out, okay, which one would be the best one to cover me, talk to your financial advisor, right? Come talk to us. Sit down with us. Tell us your situation. Tell us where you come from. Tell us what you're looking for exactly, what budget you have. We'll go through all of these things with you and we'll find the best provider. It's not only our products, as in Devere products that we're giving you. That's not our job because we're independent financial advisors, meaning we provide things that are suitable for you, not necessarily things that are in-house. So I feel like for me, I've found that it's been really great to be able to work at Devere and also have like different partners that we work with in order to help different types of people, right? If I'm going to work with a client that has, I don't know, 100 million, like 500 million, or they want like a big cover, right? They want a 5 million cover, 1 million cover of life insurance, I know which provider to give them, right? If somebody has like a lower budget, I know which provider to give them. If it's based on nationality, I also know which provider to give them. And if it's based on, oh, I really want to move, I'm not going to be in China for long, I'm here 2 years and I'm going to travel and stay there 2 years, I also know which provider to give you. So I think it's so important for us to actually sit down with people that know, instead of going online, chat GPTing everything. Sometimes the solution is just there when you talk to somebody. So go and talk to someone, right? But talk to the professional, talk to the people that know the market, that know people, that know the solutions. And I think that, that's pretty much it.
Exactly. So because when you go to certain providers that are offering their own products, they can only say what their product can do. So they cannot say maybe there's something in the market that's more suitable. Maybe it's more accessible, more mobile if you're moving to another country. So China-based products, they might cover only China, but then if you go somewhere, that's it, right? So you either need to look for a new product in the new country that also may be very specifically based for that country, but then you're older at that point, so the premiums will be higher.
They'll be higher.
Yeah. But there was something that I was told by one of the providers, right? So first, if you're starting this international insurance, then it covers you like for the time that you select, but then also it just stays as it is, so it doesn't go up. But you might be like you're covered in most of the countries, and even including yours, unless there is something. So if let's say if you're from Australia and then you're taking a life insurance and then you go back to Australia, you're still covered, right? So and a lot of these insurances, they have this clause that if you go back to your home country, then you're no longer covered. So I believe most of our providers that we work with, they cover you even if you go to your home country,
go back,
unless your home country is one of these high-risk
Yes,
countries.
if there's a war in that country, then they can't cover
it's
you.
if it's an ongoing war, or if it's generally high-risk country. So something to consider if you're looking into life insurance. Speak to your advisor, us included. What are your plans? So if you are planning to stay in China or outside of your high-risk home country, then it would make sense to go for life insurance like this. But if you planning to go back, I mean, for whatever reason, if you are planning to go back to your home country, maybe not, right? So it all depends on the individual situation and the plans and the time horizon. Either way, I think life insurance is a good option because international deaths are not something that cheap to cover, because again we're talking, right? So if it happens somewhere while you're traveling or in China, having your family travel to China to deal with any kind of post-mortem procedures, getting the bodies also, it's not unusual cargo, so it will require a specific plane to go. Then so it's also not a couple of thousand RMB. Like I'm telling you, it's up to $20,000.
That's high. That's high.
Yeah, and then so getting the body there and then arranging the funeral, etc. So yeah, we're easily looking at a couple of dozens, thousands of dollars, and maybe more if, let's say, if it's a country more far away, you know, distant, like let's say, yeah, maybe some African countries or Latin America, right? It's very far, because then it might be a plane going one place and then another, and yeah, so cheaper way would be cremation, but then.
Do you want to be cremated?
Yeah, so it's also a personal choice, right? Yes. For some people, they're not comfortable with that, and so, and if you want to do the like proper burial, then just we're looking at higher amount to cover. So something to be aware of when it comes to life insurances.
Yeah, I also want to add that I think we didn't mention that some of this insurance also comes with an investment kind of thing with it as well. So if you're not just looking for, you know, general life insurance, and you also want to get some sort of an investment back from it, or some sort of fee, let's say income from it in the near future, you can actually get that type of insurance cover for yourself. So it's worth thinking about. It's really worth thinking about. And I think recently I was having a big conversation with some of my friends from Africa, and we were talking about how in China there's so many international debts that take place. Sometimes accidents are happening, right? It's not necessarily you wanted to die or like you got sick and whatever the case may be, but it was like something that just happened, like a fire. And one of our girls actually got into like a fire, fire accident, and she actually died.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, we ended up getting a lot of messages in our groups, right? Our friend groups, oh, can you help with repatriation, whatever, because she didn't have any cover, she didn't have any life cover, she didn't have any funeral cover. So people ended up having to kind of look for money, you know, borrow to kind of help out the family to send the remains, because there's no body really, but the remains back to her country. So I think it's so important what you mentioned. Like sometimes we forget that life is short. We need to be wise. We need to really think about these things. Like I need to have life cover. At least I need to have some sort of plan, right? A funeral cover in place in case an emergency happens. But most people that we talk to, they always have medical insurance, and that's it. And that's it.
If, you know, I speak to a lot of people. Again, it might be cultural, might be not, but so I noticed that a lot of people that come from post-Soviets, they tend to not have health insurance. So yeah, don't even mention life insurance. So yeah, maybe something. Yeah, if the employer provided, yes. But if employer is not providing the insurance, then many of them won't have an insurance. Yeah, and then of course sometimes there are unfortunate situations where someone gets sick without an insurance to cover for it. But it is what it is, right? So, and typically with this type of prospects, my first recommendation is get health insurance.
Yes, health insurance, yeah.
Because you never know.
You never know.
It just might happen, and health insurance is not something that you can buy, go back in future or back in the past and then just go and buy a new one. Like it's just, and if you're already sick, then either the premiums will be super high or they might not take you.
They'll be super high, for real.
Yeah, so it's just too tricky. You never know. Of course, we don't want to get sick, but it's something that we need to have. It's one of those things that's better to have and not use it than
not to
have it and then regret not having it in the first place. A lot of I cannot say for Africans or people from other regions, but I would say there is a kind of a trend for people from post-Soviet countries that come to me. Many of them, not all of them, obviously, but many of them won't have a health insurance. So this is something that, and then you will have some posts in WeChat groups because someone was in an accident, not necessarily died, but just collecting money for this and that to cover medical fees, etc. Because you don't expect it, and I think it's just a normal human tendency to kind of think, oh, I'm gonna be okay, nothing's gonna happen to me, and but then it happens, and then what are you gonna do? At least from the cases that I've seen, people are responsive here in expat groups. Typically, people tend to help, but I think it's better to just have a plan just in case, so you don't need to do that.
Yes, have a plan because it doesn't look good. I'm sorry, but it doesn't look
you
good.
Said it.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good. I can imagine your sisters or your brothers or your parents or your friends are on WeChat groups, trying to ask people for money because you were not, you didn't have your life sorted, or you didn't have things in place for emergencies. It just doesn't look good on anyone. I feel like it's harder for your friends. They're just there like, oh, Zoe, why? Why? And they're, so it's not easy. Worse off if you don't have friends and you only have like acquaintances, especially here in China, or like in a place where you're only there temporarily and then this thing happens to you. Imagine how your family feels back home, right? Maybe they might not have the amount of money necessary to do all of these things, and now they're having to like run around, borrow and all these things just to make sure they bring your body back, or they help you out with medicine or whatever. So I find that a big problem, especially for me as an African, because most of my African community will have lots of money because they're earning lots of money here. The only problem is they won't have that financial side in place. So they'll earn a lot, and they'll spend a lot. They'll spend a lot on, everything else besides insurance. And I'm not sure if it's a thing where, is it a mindset thing, or is it a problem where like people are not being taught these things in our countries? Like, what exactly do you think is like the case? And I would say maybe from my side, I feel like people were so used to it being done by companies. So in our countries, like you go work for the state or you're working for another company, automatically you're on medical insurance.
Right.
And you're on whatever life insurance because the company HR is making sure everybody has this because they have a partnership with those companies that offer, medical insurance or life cover. So automatically the contract is coming with blah, 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 blah. But then when you move over to China and you're like, oh, okay, is my employer providing this? And sometimes they're not. because maybe you're working an informal job, or maybe you're doing your own part-time thing, or maybe you have your own company, whatever the case may be. Are they giving you cover? And if not, most of them, some of them don't have that cover, and then they just continue to live on, you know, like, oh, who cares, you know, and they continue to just do things the way they would have done them if they were on a contract with those things. And so it continues to surprise me every time, and I see these messages in the group chat, and another one, another one, another one. Yeah. What do you think is like the reason for like the post-Soviets not having too much of the medical insurance with them?
I think it's because again, this is might be the Soviet heritage, right? The medical field in general is very accessible to us. So it's generally, if you have this medical card in Russia, you can go and see a doctor for free.
Wow. Okay.
So checkups are for free, and then if there's an emergency, most likely you will get help for free too.
Wow.
Now, there are queues, right? So if you're going to see a doctor for free, you might need to pick the time and then wait for a couple of weeks maybe to get that appointment, but it is free. And then if you are somewhere, you know, on the road, had an accident, the emergency will come over and they'll pick you up and they'll take you to the hospital and give you that first aid. Now, I'm not sure how it really works for like someone who's not a resident in Russia. Maybe they need to pay for something, or maybe some of the meds or, you know, crutches or whatever they're using, maybe they're not free. But I think in general, it's free for citizens. And my family lives in St. Petersburg, so every time I go, I go to see the doctor. I just make appointments in advance. So I'm going next week, but I already made my appointments for like following 2-3 weeks. So because I already have the system, and you know, I can do it through my phone. Thank you, technology. But yeah, that may be the reason that when people go out of this country, they still have that, oh, if anything happens, then I can just, I'll just go to the hospital. And then another thing is that in China, seeing a doctor is only like 25-30 kwai, so it seems pretty cheap, pretty affordable. But the problem is, this is just seeing a doctor. Some kind of treatments, you know, more serious, it will be more expensive. Yeah. So yeah, it all depends, and I think it's better to not find out the bill.
That's true.
You know, at the end of your treatment, and just have health insurance cover most of it or all of it, depending. Yeah. And then also another thing is that if someone had an accident, they go to the hospital and there was a surgery or some kind of treatment and it didn't work, and they died, someone still needs to pay for those. They don't get waived just because the patient dies. Last year I heard a story about a woman who she had an ongoing condition, and then apparently her life insurance, like health insurance, got canceled or something. So she was in between jobs, and unfortunately it happened at that point when she was uncovered. And yeah, so sadly she passed. And yeah, so her family ended up gathering more money to just pay off the bills that happened right before she passed.
My goodness.
And yeah, so they did a fundraising for her as well. I don't know the details, but yeah, it's just an unfortunate timing, because it's you never know when that's gonna happen, right? And then also for us, for difficult passport holders, it's another point that you just need to be prepared just in case and have a plan, because you just don't know when.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And especially when we're traveling, for example, like if you're going somewhere, I think you're going to Thailand.
Yes, right? Yes, need to be covered.
Yeah, so get a travel insurance for sure. And then another thing is that when we're traveling, the payments, right? So because I think I have a MasterCard, but it's digital one. So I cannot tap or pay with it. So I can only make a transfer from my phone. And so when I go to these kind of countries, I'm always worried that my Union Pay won't work. And so I have to carry cash because I don't have a Visa or MasterCard otherwise. What is your experience so far?
I think for me, I also had a little bit of a similar problem with my Visa card as well. Well, no, my MasterCard. But I've realized that as long as we have groups that we have in my country that are called like, I don't know how to explain them, but like Forex exchange, no, kind of Forex exchange. So I usually just keep a lot of different phone numbers of my friends that do that Forex exchange.
Okay.
So like I'll have somebody that does like US dollars. I'll have somebody that does like, euros. I'll have somebody that does like South African rands if I'm in South Africa. All I do is then I would send them a message like, hey, I need to pay for this, whatever. Can you send for example, the South African rands to this particular account. I'll send you the RMB, and then I'll just send you the RMB. Yeah.
So these are individuals?
Yeah, they're individuals, but they are so efficient. My goodness, they're so efficient. So every time I run into a problem with like my MasterCard or my Visa cards, I'll make sure I switch over to them. The only problem is sometimes they might not be reachable because, right, you're in another country in another different time zone.
Yeah.
And so if they're sleeping and the time, maybe you're awake in that country and you need the money right there and then, it's like, uh-oh. So yeah, I don't really have to carry cash all the time. If I'm carrying cash, I'm going to have US dollars because I know they're always easily changeable at all the money changing places. So I make sure I have that. So I feel like it's good to know people. It's good to know people. It's good to know people that do stuff anywhere in the world. Yeah. For me, this is what works. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think for me, around Asia, so in Vietnam, and I was in Philippines a couple of years ago. So yeah, I just go to ATM and then take out whatever amount. Maybe there's some commission, but when I come back, it doesn't seem too high. So in Vietnam and Philippines, I was just taking money
Union
from
Pay
the
was
ATM.
working.
Yeah, it was working.
Nice.
Yeah, so, but if I were going to Europe or US, I don't know, I would probably have to carry cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just, my card might not work.
True.
Okay, so, let's talk about the financial planning for someone who is a difficult passport holder. So is there any difference for someone like us and someone from the countries like UK or Europe? Is there any difference, or what's the approach?
I would say from my experience, it's mostly, I've found that a lot of Europeans tend to be way more ahead in terms of budgeting, saving, knowing a lot more about finance, financial assets. They're really more knowledgeable, and I think mostly because their countries make it a point to teach these things at a young age. So people like French people, you could sit down with a French person. 2 minutes into the conversation, they'll tell you, yes, I've got this, yes, I've got that, yes, I've got this, It's not a matter of where I'm like starting from scratch to teach somebody, are you budgeting? Do you know what you're saving every month? Do you know what you're spending every month?
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like for other difficult passport holders, we usually have to start from like their budgeting just to figure out what they're doing with their money, first of all, and majority of them will usually just have it in the bank here in China, because obviously they're also having a hard time banking, or they're having a hard time moving it anywhere. So majority of them will always most probably have it here in a bank, just sitting in cash. So I feel like that is one of the biggest differences I've seen, that majority of Europe and maybe America, they're doing something. They either have an ISA open, you know, they're putting money in, that's like a UK account, or they have like a US account, you know, or they have a full 401k, whatever the case may be. They have something.
Right.
They usually have something in place. But for some other nationalities, or especially from my side, from Africa, it's very few people that you find that are like consistently, oh, I already have this, oh, I already have this, oh, I already have this. Most of those things are usually provided by the state, so, or the company in our countries. So only if you're working for the state, then it's automatic. If you're working for a reputable company, then it's pretty automatic. So I guess that's where we would start from most of the times with people, getting to know their financial situation, getting to know what they're doing with their money, and figuring out how we go from there. What do we do? What do we do with your cash that's sitting in the bank? How can we help you? How can we help you do something productive with it? How can we help you earn interest on it instead of just leaving it sitting there? How do we help you achieve your financial goal, which is one of the most important things we also start with? Like, what is the goal with the money you're saving? Is it just saving for your pension? Are you saving for a rainy day? Is it just for emergencies? Is it for your children? You know, are you trying to save up for them? Or are you trying to buy a property? Are you trying to, you know, what is the goal with the money that you are accumulating here in China? And I feel like for most expats, there's always a goal. You don't just randomly put your money in the bank, right? Most people will have A, B, C, D goal. Oh, I want to buy a house. I want to buy a car. I want to get married. I want to go to university. I want to pursue my master's. I want to pursue my PhD. So most people do have goals, which is great. Which is great to hear most of what their goals are. And so we start to map out a way for you to then achieve those goals. What's the quickest way we can help you to do that? What's the most efficient way? And if we're able to actually help you, because like I said, it's a case by case kind of thing. We have to know if we can help you or not. But majority of the people that we work with, we're usually able to help them, or at least direct them in the right, in the right path. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a good point on the people just because they don't know what to do, or they're not really aware of the options available. So I do meet people sometimes that they have very good savings here, but they're just sitting in the bank because, oh, I wasn't sure if I can do something, and I didn't know if there was any platform or any kind of product that I could put into to save for future. And as a result, someone here in China for 5, 10, 15 years, and all their savings is just in one account or in the Bank of China or ICBC, for example. And then also we're talking in the last 10 years. Okay, not 10 years, but let's say 5 years. We had the COVID, right? The lockdowns. In some parts of China, they were way worse than anywhere else.
Yes.
Like in Shanghai, it was terrible. We were just sitting at home. But then for all of China, it was about 3 years that we didn't have any mobility. We couldn't travel as much. We couldn't go home for a long time, right? So I was here throughout the whole 3 years.
Yeah.
And so many people would come out of COVID with some savings, and then they're just sitting in the bank, and then that's it, right? So nothing is happening to that money, and it's losing value to inflation, and because the passport may have some kind of restriction, so the person is just waiting for a right opportunity, but then money is not growing in the meantime. Yeah. And I think also I agree with what you said about finding out what is the goal and what do we need to do, because we are all from different countries. We will have our own stories. Every expat that I've met had their unique story, unique situation, especially with the difficult passport. There is a unique puzzle that you have. And of course, for all of us, there will be some products that work for me but might not work for you, or for some of you, right? Because we're all different, and our goals are different, and our aspirations, and how much we want to receive when we retire, or how much we want to leave to our kids.
Yeah.
Some of us don't have kids, and some of us might not have kids. Some of us might be single in retirement, some of us might be with someone, right? So it's all very individual and very different, and what works for one person doesn't work for another. And positioning the difficult passport is that, okay, so most of the options that we offer might not work for you, but there will be something.
There'll be something, yes.
Yeah, so we might find something that will work for you, and that option might not work for another passport, right? So that's something. There will be some nationalities that we might not be able to help.
True.
Right? So this is just setting realistic expectations, because unfortunately, and it's nothing personal, right? So it's not that you did something wrong. It's just geopolitics,
yes,
and other factors that play into these situations where sanctions are in place. And we didn't choose those situations to happen. We didn't vote for them, and they're just happening without us being involved in any of that. But the reality is that we are the ones facing the consequences.
Yes.
And we can sit here, and whine about it and do nothing. But we choose another way. We try to open different accounts. Try
everything.
Try everything.
Try
yes.
everything.
So just find a way. And sure, with clients that have difficult passports, we do set proper expectations.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So with opening a bank account, I say right away, it's going to take time. Opening an investment account also, it's going to take time. Plus, you will need to provide every possible document.
That's
needed.
true.
Because it is what it is.
Yeah.
Just prepare all the documents, everything, and your background story, up to your grandparents. I'm just kidding. But typically, yes, there will be a number of documents that will be requested.
True.
It's part of KYC, or know your client documents that the institutions ask when we're opening an account, be it a bank or an investment platform.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. So they will be asking for documents. It's not just passport and visa. It also employment contract, bank statement, tax records.
True.
Yes, and then depending on what else, they might ask for more, right? And it's because again, it's not that these sanctions don't like these countries, right? So these companies,
True.
they have against any of these countries or people. It's not personal, right? So, and because these geopolitical things, these companies might get into trouble if they're working with some individuals.
Yes.
That don't provide certain documents,
yes.
right? So for example, if we have an investment platform and they're not checking the tax records of certain investors, they might get into trouble. So their license might get suspended, their investments frozen. So they're just protecting themselves.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do them being against a certain investor, right? So it's not personal. It's just they are protecting their business. And I think it's important to understand that, when you have a difficult passport, maybe it's not just, but, there are ways around it, and it's not the end of the world, really, right? So there might be other ways, and also because these companies do background checks and they do ask for extra documents, that's good news for you too. That means that the company is legit, that they're doing background checks, so they're not working with, illicit or criminals. So they make sure that everyone that they're working with also is able to provide information about their employment. So therefore, they are, good citizens, paying
yeah,
taxes,
who are paying their taxes in that country.
Yeah, so it's in one way, of course, some people might be upset about, oh, why do I have to provide these documents, and why do I need to do this and that? Why do I need to prove that I'm working, etc. But this is also for your own good, because that kind of protection also goes for you too, as the investor. So if anything, you want your financial institution to do these background checks on everyone.
That's true, and it's also because of regulation, right? There are international bodies that are regulating the financial industry, and it's only natural for them to do that, as you have said. It's only natural for them to check where the money's coming from, so that it's official and it's on the books that you're a hardworking citizen, and it's working out like that. So, yeah, I feel like just always know it's going to take time. At least 3 months, sometimes 6 months. But if it's going to work, then I feel like you should just keep holding on, right? Just persevere until something works. Keep trying until it works.
Yeah, and just be patient, because, these things take time. But in the end, if it works and it's worth the wait, then it's good to just start. It's still better to do it than, like, I need to provide too many documents and I don't want to do it. Yeah, so typically when I have someone with a difficult passport, I do set proper expectations and just say, it's going to take this many weeks, be prepared. And so the documents, and just because it's difficult to do doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we all need to make sure that we're saving for our future, especially if we are from a difficult home country, right? Because we need to protect ourselves from the economical instability and geopolitical instability. So it's all the more reason to make sure that we have enough savings for our futures and our families' futures, because our countries are unfortunately not reliable.
That's true. That's true.
We need to take care of it ourselves.
We need to take care of ourselves.
This is it. Yeah. So let's. We're almost finished, right? So what would you say that difficult passport holders should keep in mind, and any kind of final words?
I think the biggest thing for me is time is money. The longer you wait, the longer you're delaying your own progress. So it's so important to start early. Things that we've talked about today, if you wait too long to get medical insurance or even life insurance, it keeps getting more expensive the older you get. So it's not going to be cheaper for you the more you delay it. Other things we've talked about today, like opening up an account, for example. We are difficult passport holders. It's going to take a number of months, sometimes a lot of weeks. And so the longer you take to do it, the longer you're delaying your account to be opened. So I feel like that would, for me, is the biggest thing. When you decide to do something, go for it. Go for it then and then. Don't keep, delaying and delaying and delaying and, thinking about it again and again and again, because time is not on our side, at least for us, us difficult passport holders. It's better you start now and then, okay, 6 months from now, I should have my account open. And then I'm going to start, putting my money aside. And a couple of months from now, I'm going to start earning an income. Or, okay, it's going to be difficult for me to buy this property, but the more I quickly finish doing the KYC, the more I quickly give them the documents as quickly as possible, the faster I'm going to get my property, and the faster I'm going to get that rental income. So the quicker I also start the medical insurance or whatever, life insurance, if an emergency happens today, I'm covered. So I think for me, just knowing that time is not on your side, the earlier you start, the better it becomes for you, not just with investing, but with everything else. I've learned that lesson. And it's been a good lesson to learn and to pass down to everybody else. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Zoe. It was a great discussion, right? I hope it was useful for everyone who's watching. Please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and so that you don't miss any upcoming podcasts. So they will be coming every month. And if you have any questions about what we discussed or more, feel free to reach out to me. I'll make sure to add our contact details in the description. And you can also look us up on LinkedIn and Instagram. So we're quite active on social media. So don't hesitate to reach out, especially if you are from a difficult country, difficult passport holder, because we know how it is. So we know how to help and what works. So reach out to us, and we're happy to help you. Even if we cannot do anything specifically for you, we might know someone or somewhere that can help, that can be useful for you. So just reach out, talk to us. Thanks for your time, and bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.